Hello there and welcome to Tainted, Grail, the Fall of Avalon. This is going to be the two-handed most powerful build in the game I found so far. Well, as long as you can crit and, that's about it, and get all the other weapons and stuff like that. So that end game, as long as you can crit, and then you're going to be doing more damage than the mage and the ranger build I just built, or the archer build I just posted yesterday. This does more damage, and I was surprised about that. I knew it was going to be fun to use because of the stamina skill, but let's get started on this one. First, we're going to show you the different weapons and the gear that we're using to build this, and then the requirements for the stats and the skills and all that kind of stuff. And then we're going to show you a demonstration on killing the giants and stuff, and at the end of the game. So let's get started on there. The one weapon I'm going to choose right here is going to be the big bonk, and that one's a good weapon to get. I think you get that one a little bit earlier on. It does have lower damage, but that 50% AoE impact is pretty nice. It's not really that big of an area, but yeah, that's what you get. 50% more damage. It does 50% less damage than the other one, and that AoE doesn't upgrade at all, but it is still, you're adding a 50% AoE, so that's going to help you out there. It's not really quite equal in the damage numbers into percentages to get more damage, but it is more useful to have overall when you're trying to fight multiple guys or anything like that. And of course, we have this other weapon right here, and this one here increases your damage up depending on your missing health. So this one will get very, very powerful the more health that you're missing. And this one upgrades 10% per level. It starts at 200% more damage. So as you can tell, if you're half dead, you're probably doing 150% more damage on top of the guys, which is very handy to have for any build at all. So yeah, most of our gear is going to be not really specific to melee damage, and we're going to go for crit damage and stuff like that. So let's get started on that. Crit is going to be the hardest thing to get for a melee character in this game. It's going to fuel your build in all aspects, and it's going to be something you do at near the end of the game, so you don't really want to rely on it at the start because you're going to need a high crit to get this going for later on. But anyways, the crow's mask, it upgrades 1% on both those numbers right there. Starts off at a nice 50%. Who wants more critical damage and attack speed? That's just all around probably the best helmet in the game for most classes. And then we have the dual knight cape. This one here I had to upgrade it a lot just to get enough crit to be useful. As 20 is going to cost you a lot to upgrade it there. It gives you that stamina regeneration too, which you might be starved for. But yeah, we have it for the crit. So the dual knight stuff is one of most of the gear that we're going to be using for this build right here. So we got the dual knight gloves. This one here upgrades by melee damage. So I took that over the Lancelot gloves because physical damage, melee damage, same thing, but this one upgrades. So we can upgrade this one here, and then you get critical hits can restore 10 stamina. It doesn't matter. Who cares about that? And that's the Sir Lancelot stuff right there. So yeah, the base 30% damage on this one right here. So that's pretty good. A 30% base damage. There wasn't anything else better that upgrades that would be worthwhile at the end of the day over that one right there. We are pretty out of luck on the trinkets and the rings. 50% crit was the best I could find. That's the one that you craft in the game. And then we have no crit on the ring. I just took a regeneration ring. You can put whatever you want. At least you have that on there. You can just put whatever you want for your rings. And the best one I found was a 7% crit on this ring right here. So yeah, we're pretty bad on the rings. If you can find better, then good. That'll build it up nicely. And then we got the dual knight trousers once again, because this one here has critical damage that levels up, 1% per level for when you level it up. So it can grow as long as you have money in mats and you want your character to grow. So it's not going to be dead. The Lancelot stuff is dead in the water, so that's why I go for the other stuff right here. That's what I mean. This build is fueled on crits. If I don't get a crit, I'm not going to be doing as much damage as the other classes. I'll just be tanky as hell and regenerate all my health, all the health that I get off of it. So you're pretty much safe, and you can just face smash everything. And then we got the Horned Warden's boots. Probably the best boots in the game for critical damage. It goes up by 3% per level. So yeah, you can. This is the one that you want to spend a lot of money on once you get your crit up there, and upgrade that one there for that extra damage, because that's the best we have. A mage build, you get 5% per level up, and we're just hoping for a 3% for our melee build. It is really that bad, but my mage with 500% attack power for magic damage is this one here. When I get a crit, I do more damage on this build right here. So that is the gear that we chose to use for the end there. So keep your eye out for all this stuff, all this gear. When you're fighting, when you get, when you're talking to the crow guy, make sure you just go there and fight him and kill him. I think that's where I got the crow's mask off of, is that guy in the storyline. storyline in chapter 2 or map number 2. But anyways, go over to the character build right here. As we can see, our crit is still pretty low. It's 69. Well, 69 is good enough for me. I'm satisfied with that number. You're always craving for more, but 69 will get you by, and that is good enough for me. And the melee damage over here is just a little bit higher than that ranger damage was at 270% versus 250% for the basic plus 10 plus 20 build that we have on there. But yeah, the critical damage we have 400% over there for that crit damage. And as you can see, you can have the stats right there, which is one thing you want to note. These are the minimum requirements for all the gear that we have. So this is what you want to build up to by the end of the game, is get these ones right here. Of course, prioritize using the strongest melee weapon that you can have, that's two-handed, and get those done first. And then those other specialty items I have, like the warden boots and stuff like that, need that spirit and need that perception to get that going. And of course, more in perception is more crit. So yeah, that's where we might stick the rest of our points, is that when you're done this, you put all the rest of your points into perception or strength. Basically, you can stick them anywhere you want. You can even stick them in endurance if you want to. Like, why not? You get the damage based on that too. So yeah, you're getting to damage either way on any of those 3 stats. So you're free and clear to do whatever you feel like it. Once you have all that stuff set up there, of course, if you can find better crit gear, go ahead and use it. That's what's going to fuel most of our build. But our priorities right here is, of course, going to be the strength and the extra damage that we do. And we want to get 1 point over. We want to get all 3 points over here right away in that mighty blows. That's going to fuel us for not having to worry about guys. We're going to do so much damage to the guys. Of course, they're going to be depleted. You hit them and they fall to their knees and they're stunned for a couple seconds. And then you can hit them as much as you want, or stand there and look at them, whatever you feel like doing. Just go for 1 point over here at the start. Extra stamina is nice and all, but we want to get this one right here. We want that lifesteal too. So these are your top priorities: is get that lifesteal. Stop at 2%. One more point is like a half of the gain right there, and 2% is enough that I found for running around and doing this. Then of course you could build up the rest of the two-handed stuff. Your heavy attacks, that's what you're going to be doing most of the time anyways. So you do a heavy attack, 15% more damage. It's still something you want to do later on when a 5-point gain is what you want, and then you can do that. And then heavy attacks. This one here is one that you want to prioritize after you stick the 1 point in there. Then you stick all your points in here to get that 25% damage in a 4-meter radius. That's going to be our big nice AoE attack. Well, 4 meters isn't very big, that's what she said. But anyways, we go into the unstoppable impact. We don't need that one. We want this one right here. As the with the enemies within 5 meters, you take you do 10% more damage. So that's our damage buff right there. For one guy, it's worth the point to get over there and do that. So over into the other parts of strength is the general one right here. And as I said, melee is just a 5% per point. Once you're doing 1 point for 5%, unlike the other classes, which you get 10%, we can go ahead and do that. But we want this one over here, the physical damage for your weapon. So get that one done first, because that'll be a bigger damage gain. And then if they're going to be if they're staggered, if that counts as staggered, if they're brought to their knees, some more damage after that. We don't really care. I put this one here for for the hell of it. I didn't really need to get that extra max stamina, and nothing else in here worked very well with this build for adding the extra stamina points on there. But we got points available to do whatever you want. There is nothing in dexterity we really want. We don't really care about the attack speed too much yet, and you can go ahead and do that with the strength, and the other skills have attack speed on them too. And we're not going to be worrying about parrying. We're going to just run in there and smash your face in there, so we don't need anything in there. Same for the spirits. If you're looking to build up your hit points, of course, stick it in general and go over here and get the hit points off of that for later on, right? But the critical damage, once you are ready to go for the critical damage, then you can start putting the points in here. Putting them here at the start of the game is kind of useless. You go from like 5% to 11% crit. That's not going to help you. That's wasted points at the start of the game. But you do want to get that critical damage up there once you're doing ready for the critical build and that department right there. And then we go over to armor. That's going to be the second priority, or first for some people, I guess. But it doesn't really matter. It's strength, and then you want to go for the armor because it has lots of nice flavor things to do on there. We have the 25% thorns ability on that one right there to take. Increase your armor value, which leads to the best offense is adding 60% of your armor as damage when you attack with melee weapons. I don't know how that works. Does it go after or before your bonuses? If it goes before your bonuses and that stacks on there, then that's very good, right? So 60% of your armor would be very high in damage. But we don't know for sure, but it's worthwhile taking in there. And then 3 extra armor. Nothing else in here was really that good. This is all about healing. We have that 2% life leech, and that is good enough for me. But yeah, you can go ahead and if you feel like it and don't want to build for crit, which is going to kill you on the gear part of it. But yeah, you can just go with Lancelot's gear if you want to. But we're looking for high returns on our damage to kill stuff a little bit faster. But there you have it on all the different skills that we have. And of course, you can go ahead and, just modify it as you want. This is just a general idea on there. Yeah, but these guys are mostly one-on-one fights, so using this big bonk right here to get the AoE effect isn't going to be very useful. But we can just go in there and show you anyways what I mean. So if I don't get a crit, it's not going to be very good for damage. But yeah, see, that wasn't a crit, but he's on his knees, right? See, it's not very much damage if you don't get a crit on there. This is the AoE. It's not really taking effect too much on that same guy. So we'll switch weapons over just in here, take some damage. Whack. So that wasn't any damage. I didn't get a crit. So that's why I warned you. If you're not going to get a crit, I guess that 69 is just not good enough. You need to get that extra damage. There we go. Now we got a crit. We can finish it off. So it's all like iffy on this build right now. I guess I was really, I'm just really unlucky with crit chance most of the time. So there we go. He's on attack, 2 shots, dead. So that's faster than the ranger and the mage. They usually took 3 shots to kill that guy. So yeah, it all depends on the crit. And of course, my two-handed skill is really non-existent. It's the first time I'm using it on this character. And where would that be under stats? No, not stats. Attributes. Where is the skills? I don't even know. I don't even. That's where is this stuff? Skill tree, attribute, status. Strength, two-handed. What does it do? Increases the damage dealt. Okay, that's all it does? Yeah, so we're doing more damage. That's all it does. Nothing special on that. Unfortunately, I thought there might be something more to the skill that you don't pay attention to when you level up. So yeah, let's go in here. Shut up, giant. We'll take out this guy here. He's armored, so we really need the crits on him, backstab him, finish him off. The giants. Oh, you up there, buddy? Oh, there we go. Come over here. You can't hit me. What are you talking about? Get a crit. Okay, I don't know if that was a crit or not. But yeah. As you can see, these guys are a joke, just like the other ones, and I'm pretty sure I am doing more damage than the archer and the mage for what we have on here. Get the hi, guy. Go away. Oh, my stamina's down. Wasn't paying attention. And up again. Hey, come here. Oh, see, that's big difference between getting a crit and not getting a crit. That's, because all that gear is crit damage. Oh, you guys are all dead. Okay, very good. Yeah, I really like it when I can go across these blue guys up here, or this ghost guys, or whatever you want to call these guys. And they can get, well, if I get a crit, I'll crit the guy. Screw them. Yeah, there we go. Finally, crit, one shot. Better than the other ones where it's almost killing them, but not quite. As long as you get that crit in there. Very good. So yeah, there you go. That is the damage part. We've already brought a giant to our knees pretty easily. We'll just let him attack us for a bit. You can, yeah, stomp us down. Yeah, see, a big, nice big stomp. Get over here, hit me. Yeah, oh, nice. Ow, I almost hurt. There, knocked me silly. He stunned me. Come over here in the flat surface, buddy. You're not attacking very well on an angle. Charge, kick. Yeah, all this damage I take is just, lowering your health. One more hit, there you go. And fill up again, right? So that's what you want. If you get hurt, well, that was a weak attack. That's just a regular attack, not charging up for the extra damage. And still, you don't have to worry about anything. Just charged up and there. Not a crit. But yeah, it's nice that you can just sit there and play with these guys like as they're nothing, because if you don't crit, you don't kill them, you still stun them, and that's what the boss fights are going to be like too for the most part. As long as they have a stamina bar, which the last 2 bosses did, I believe, yeah, they're not going to do anything to you, basically, right? You could just ignore them. So yeah, that is the rundown of how the build works. Guys, yeah, like I said, disclaimer, it's fueled on crits. This is a crit build. You need higher crit. So yeah, definitely invest in more crit than what I have right now, because as you can see, the critting was not an actual number of 69 is a good number, but I wasn't getting all that in there. It seems like more like, you know, 50% to me, or closer to 40% of my attacks for crits on there. So yeah, that is just why I'm so bad with crit numbers on these games. I'm just unlucky with getting crits. So that's why I have my numbers up as high as possible on like every build. Get it to 100, so you're making sure you're getting close to that soft cap as possible. So well, thanks for watching. That's it for our demonstration. There's no more really guys to kill in this, and hopefully you enjoy going around there and just face smashing with a two-handed melee build and not worrying about things like your hit points and your anything, basically. You don't have to worry about sneaking and stealthing and hitting guys from range. You can face plant, you can face smash these guys pretty effectively with this build, with a pretty bland gear, in my opinion. It's just all pretty bland gear and bland weapons for this, but we can have an overpowered result if we do it, you know, kind of properly. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you later.